Hi guys, it's Katherine. Let's talk about the KathleenLights and Jaclyn Hill situation. Here's what no one is saying, otherwise I wouldn't speak on it. Let's put ourselves in that room and in that situation. The moment the word was said, Kathleen's husband instantaneously said, "Don't post it." But he didn't say it once, he said it twice. He said, "Don't post that, don't post that." Now, what do you think happened next? Put yourself in that room. When you're with a friend, first of all, why do you think he said, "Don't post that, don't post that"? Like he was laughing, he was joking, and then instantaneously he said, "Don't post that, don't post that." He knew what it would do to her career. This is exactly what he didn't want to happen. He instantaneously was like, "Don't post that, don't post that." And the community is acting as if when the video ended, that's all, like the whole situation ended, like they continued laughing. But put yourself in that situation. That is absolutely not what happened. If you were her husband, who is a military man, he has military background, he is smart, he is military, and in his mind, he has mission, and he is like, "Do not post that." Do you think he just assumed she wouldn't post it? Just don't post that, don't post that? What do you think happened next? He would have kept saying it until what happened? I mean, if you didn't want something posted from a friend, what would make you stop saying, "Don't post that, don't post that"? Put yourself in his situation. When have you wanted a friend to like, "Don't post that, don't post that"? Think about something that could kill your career. Don't tell them, don't tell them. Like if you broke a major rule, if you stole something, say you stole something from the store that you're working at, and you're like, "Don't tell them, don't tell them," and your friend just said nothing, like they didn't hear you. Would you just assume that they're not going to tell them? No, you would get worried. You would get really, really worried. You'd be like, "They didn't hear me. Like, they didn't hear me. I need them to give me a verbal response that says they heard me." And they would continue, you would continue until you got a verbal response that said that they heard you. You would continue on until they said to you, "Oh, I won't tell." Wouldn't you? Anytime you've been that panicked, put yourself in that situation. When have you been that panicked? What does it take for that panic to calm down? A verbal response that says, "Don't worry about it, I won't do it." There is no way that he dropped it. "Don't post that, don't post that." You think it ended there? He continued with, "Don't post that," until she had to have said, "Don't worry about it." If if it was up for 20 minutes, there's no way it could have been up for 20 minutes without him thinking that it was not up there. So it must have gone this way. Like logically, it must have played out this way. Just logically, in the room, put yourself in the room. Logically, it must have gone, "Don't post that, don't post that." "Oh no, don't worry, I didn't. Don't worry, I won't. Are you sure? You didn't post it?" No, I didn't post it. Don't worry about that. I didn't post it. You're sure you didn't post it? Yeah, I didn't post it. No, you sure? Yeah, I didn't. No worry, I would never. He would calm down when she gave a verbal affirmation that it was not posted. And then for 20 minutes, that then they started hearing that it was up. And he was like, "WTF?" And then what would she say? "Oops, I must have done it on mistake." Like, that's logically what must have happened. Like, I must have done it on mistake. And why would she do that? Like, why would she post it anyway? Why? Well, judging on past behavior, like, we know that, just let me put it this way. As a businesswoman, Jaclyn's instantaneous response, you have to understand that that moment, her saying that, Jaclyn knew that was a moneymaker. Like, she just knew that was major dollar signs. When she posted that going, how could you think I would ever? And I'm just like, well, because you would make massive amounts of money off of it. And you're saying, well, how can she make massive amounts of money over it? And I'll tell you how she can make massive amounts of money over it. She would get floods of comments, floods of her name would be everywhere. And what happens when her name is everywhere? It's more, the social media, her rankings go up on social media. And that's something she can bring to the brands to up her payments. It keeps her on top as the #1 influencer. They don't, the brands don't look at if it's positive attention or negative attention. They just look at where is your ranking. And when you guys talk about them and mention their names and go to their pages and post 1 million snake emojis, that's just interaction. That's just interaction. You post 1 million snake emojis, that's 1 million interactions that Jeffrey's not getting, Manny MUA's not getting, Laura Lee's not getting, Nikki's not getting, the entire, like, no one else is getting. And poor the normal people who have, like, values, like Jen Loves Reviews, and the people who have ethics, you know, the people who would never do who don't do any kind of backstabbing, who wouldn't do anything for a buck, like, who would never do anything like that, so they never get hate or anything like that. Well, then they're just at the normal social media levels, because they would never do anything to just get floods. And, you know, like, the Kardashians and everyone have figured that out. Like, there is this saying that I learned early on in the dance community. They were like, if anyone's talking about you, good or bad, any kind of publicity is good publicity. Like, that was the #1 first lesson I learned in the dance community when I became a champion. They were like, anything, any kind of publicity, because they were saying that, you know, now that this champion dancer wanted to dance with me and partner with me, they were like, oh, his old partner and all this stuff. And it was awful. It was awful, because it was awful having negative attention thrown my way, because I was not used to it. I was so young, and I was just this little, oh, I was so innocent at that time. I was such a little good girl. And I just, they were, my hairdresser was like, oh, honey, like, he was in the community, he's like, honey, any talk is good talk, honey. He's like, if they're not talking about you, like, he's like, if they're not talking about you, it's a bad thing. He's just like, any kind of talk is good talk. And I was like, I remembered that, because I didn't believe it at the time. And then I learned, and I watched, and it's kind of like they use this book. It's only happens in the shady communities, but as Thomas Halbert said, he was like, we have a really dysfunctional community, and it works because for some reason we think that all of our beauty girls, and I think it's because everyone puts on, you know, this beautiful makeup, that we think they're all innocent. Like, that's the reason I stopped following KathleenLights. I used to follow her hardcore. I used to love her. And then I had one of my guys from Hollywood, because I was starting to film YouTube videos a while ago, and I was just like, I cannot get, for all of my knowledge, I cannot get my videos to look like that. And he was like, honey, that she's not doing her own videos. Like, no. Like, no. And he was way, way up there, like way up there in the academy. And he was like, she's not doing her own videos. And then I saw the brothers' response, and I was like, that's who's doing their videos. And it makes everyone else feel like crap. Like, it makes everyone else feel like crap, thinking, oh, they do all their own stuff. And it's like, you know, this thing in the beauty community, we all think they're all independent. And that's the other thing that I want to talk about, is that, you know, okay, the N-word, and we're all discussing about whether or not it's okay to use the N-word or not. Look, it's not. Like, I grew up in a time when it was not okay, but then again, I grew up in a time where they were not producing the music that we're producing today because it's not okay. Like, it's not okay, but it was not okay to call a woman a hoe or a whore or anything like that. And I grew up in a time when there were like 55 different companies that owned the media, not 6. And it was, the music industry was owned by a lot of different people, not just one. And so, you know, and not only that, but like the communities were also segregated. And now if you watch, I'll leave a link below, but like the African-American communities asked to be desegregated again. And I firmly believe that's because of the music, because there is now a thing that if you are not segregated, then you are selling out. And that's my personal opinion, but I fully know that I am completely out of the game. Like, that can be my personal opinion, but I could be totally wrong. And I get that. Like, I get that I am not an authority on the subject. I know not to use those words. I know that I don't know everything, but I was also raised in a time to be respectful of other cultures, but we are not raised in that time. And people go off crazy online and be like, oh, they should know. And I'm like, how? It's not taught. Like, it's not taught. In the music, it isn't taught. And that's the thing, is that she put out a statement. Like, people are confused about Jackie Ina. They're like, at one hand, she put out a statement that was more understanding, and then the next statement she put out a stand that like was more firm. And she was saying like brown communities think it might be okay to use that word because they're brown, but it's not. And I feel like KathleenLights' brother's statement backs that up. Like, I feel like that's exact, because like when Jeffree Star uses that word, it's absolutely out of hate. Like, none of it's 10 years ago. Like, it's all recent. He still uses the word. Everyone knows he's still, like, his sins are not 10 years ago. They are recent and they are now. And I love it on Dr. Phil because everyone's like, well, I used to, and they're like 3 days ago. Like, you can't use that. You know what I mean? And yeah, like, and in my opinion, and from what I've seen, like, KathleenLights used the word out of ignorance. And Jeffree Star uses the word out of complete and total hate and knowledge. Like, he is absolutely 100% a racist and proud of it. That's why he hasn't fully apologized. He calls himself a victim. He's proud of it, but it's his brand. His brand is racism. Like, that's his brand. If you follow him and support him, you most likely are, you know, that's what you like and that's what you love, or you're just filled with hate, and that's what you're drawn to. And that's why you're drawn to him, because you're filled with so much hate, and he helps you get that out and gets that rage out because he reflects that in you. And that means that you need help, because you cannot go through life like that. You cannot go through life like that. That leads to all sorts of destructive behavior, sorts of things that it will not lead to Prada bags. I promise you, it will hurt you in the end. So KathleenLights, does her using it out of ignorance, like what her brother said, like, I said in my statement, I was like, I made a statement in response to her brother's statement, and then I removed it, and I removed it because I knew I was making this video. And I was just like, let me just all say it in a video. She was saying sorry, but then her brother was saying, you know, you should just get it. She's not a racist, and you're all stupid, and people who are coming out against her are just jealous of her and hate her on her and jealous and want what she wants. And I'm like, that's it. Like, that's it. It ruins all of her credibility. All of her credibility. Like, that's it. And I don't care if you're like, that's what she's saying and that's what he's saying. And he's, no, like, that's her family, you guys. Like, that's her family. And if they don't have their crap together, if her PR team does not have their crap together enough to be able to, like, hold their mouths shut and actually release a statement, like, we've got a problem. But like I said, I stopped following her. Like, I stopped following her a while ago. Why did I stop following her? Like, I wasn't surprised by it because of what I wasn't surprised by it because I already knew she was lying to us. All right, so I said that my A-lister said that she's definitely not doing her own videos, and she doesn't say that. She doesn't say that. She's not honest about that, but she doesn't have to be, right? But she says, oh, this is the camera I use, but she doesn't say I have a production team producing my cameras behind me. Like, no. So, but then she did. First of all, she was saying, okay, these are my favorite products and they work amazingly. And like, all I have to do is use this one product and it takes everything away. Like, it takes it all away. Like, it does everything. And I was like, really? And when I was healthy enough, like, I was like, good, I need a product like that. It was super expensive. It was some really expensive thing at Ulta, of course. And I go and I buy, and I was like my cellular water does a better job than this. I couldn't believe it. It was so bad at removing stuff. Like, she was like, it's the last product you'll ever need. And it was like, not even a little good. Like, not even a little good. And it was hella expensive. And then I had to go to Ulta and return it. And of course, they were pissed and they give you total crap because it's used. And they're like, you know, we can't sell it again. And I'm just like, you know what? As a disabled woman, this is the last thing I need. Like, I hate this. But that wasn't all of it, because like that kept happening in products that she was pushing. Like, as in the beginning, I followed her because of ColourPop, and I fell in love with ColourPop. Like, I'm wearing it on my eyes. I love ColourPop, but I apologize. Like, I didn't do a good job with it today because I am not doing well, and like I put on like 6 different concealers today, and it's not helping. Like, I am sick today, but I was like, I have to put this out. So you guys are getting like a crappy product. Like, I'm a D today in makeup, and oh well. But like never put black and blue makeup on when you have, like, to my disabled friends, just a hint, like, when your eyes and black circles are so bad, never put on black and blue makeup. Like, never put on, just don't do it. Don't put on burgundy eyeshadow. And don't put it, like, this was black, and I was like, let me try and lighten it up, because black is never good to put on when you have dark circles. And then I put white on over it, and it turned blue. And I was like, oh, we've got complete black and blue. There we go. So never do that. Just a hint. So this is a how not to video. Anyway, all right. So back to KathleenLights. So then I think the final, so I kept doing a few things with her. And then the final straw was when she did a video on, I was going to do a separate video on this, but I might as well just throw it all in now, because let's be honest, like, I don't know when I'll be able to do the next video. They've been, you know. So she did this palette. She did this, like, it was only a $10 palette or something like that, but she said, I did this eye look with it that's coming out, and it was just this stunning eye look with a $10 palette, and I was like, holy God, that's gorgeous. Like, wow. And everyone loved it. It was a huge video. Everyone went nuts for it, and she's like, yeah, it's amazing. And it was such a big video. Like, I started looking for it everywhere, and it wasn't anywhere. To this day, I have not found it. In California or the East Coast, I have not found it out. And so what you're stuck with is the first palette. So I tried the first palette, which she said, this one's a little better than the first palette. No, like, the first palette sucked. It was so bad. It was worse than 99-cent store makeup. And but I was like, $10 is still expensive. And I had to go return that crap because it was so beyond crappy. And I just knew that people were going, I couldn't believe it. And then, but here's the thing, is that then she was like, well, everyone loves it so much, let me go ahead and remake the look for you. Like, everyone's requesting the look to be remade. And I was like, okay, great. I want to see the look to be remade. So she takes out the palette, and because I remember asking my husband, there's no way she did that look with this palette. There's no way. There's no way with this stuff, even if it's a little better, there's no way. Like, it must have been way better to make that eye look with it. And then she came out with, like, how to do it. I was like, oh, I'm so excited. And it looked like she made an eye look with 99-cent store makeup. It didn't look anything like it. And you could tell that she was kind of like, ah, crap, and like trying. And I'm sure she used some of the palette, but she used a lot of other products in there, but she didn't say it. And like right on camera, you guys. And I was like, I'm done. Like, and that, the thing is that tells me she's sponsored. Like, that told me she was sponsored. And at that time, I didn't know that about the FTC rules. I didn't know anything about it, but I knew she was being paid because she was lying about products. I knew it was too many products. Like, it started with this remover. There are several products in between. And I was like, I literally cannot trust her anymore. And I don't have enough of a life, and my money means too much to me. This is my money. But I was just like, she's not selling her favorite products anymore. She is just selling. And I was like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. And then I got sucked back in just once. Like a year later, I got sucked back in by a ColourPop thing. And she did her favorite ColourPops. And I talk about it in another video. And I went and I was like, oh, that looks amazing. Oh, that looks amazing. And I got them, and they were all the color of mud. And they were like 50 shades of mud. They were like, you could barely tell the difference between each color. And I was like, they had to empty their stock on this one. You could tell they had over-ordered on a pigment, and they were trying to get rid of the pigment. And they just made like 15 shades of the same color. And she just sold them all. And there's no returns. And I couldn't wear, and I don't know who could wear them. It was so devastating. They didn't look anything like they did on camera. They can color correct on camera and make it look amazing. It's so easy to do with a good production guy, which her brother is clearly an amazing artist. He can do whatever he wants. And it's why he got so triggered when people went after her. And that's always another hint, is when they get angry at you, when they are not professional enough to go after you. So my point is okay, now my third point. So the first point is really think about what happened in that room. Jaclyn Hill, in my opinion, just from basic common knowledge, guys, like, I don't know why we need receipts. I don't get this whole receipt culture. What the hell happened to common sense? What happened to common sense? What happened to, like, think it through? He said, don't post it, and the video ends, and we're just like, oh, and then it ended there? He said, don't post it, and what do you think she said next? Don't worry, I will. Hello? Like, of course. Like, of course she said, don't worry. She calmed him down. And we just assumed she didn't hear it? Yeah, you guys need to go look up Baiter. B-A-I-T-E-R. Go look it up. Go look up Dr. Phil and Oprah's life class. Learn out what a Baiter is, because freaking the whole Mickey Mouse Club is Baiter. They're all Baiters. Go look them up. And learn, because like they're all backstabbing. They take your money, like the whole entire thing. And that's exactly what I was like. She just proved me right. She proved my entire Jeffree Star video right. I said there's a spider and there's a web. And KathleenLights touched the web. She touched the web and she went down. Didn't I tell you guys that? Didn't I tell you that they turn? They turn on you. I said this is the nature of evil. They will turn on you. I literally said that. And why did Jaclyn Hill turn on her? Because she was just like, I can't pass up this kind of money. And I don't think she thought about it very long. I think she was just like, there was this glee in her of like, like, draw, like, this is great. Like, she just knew, like, this is major payoff day and like, send. And she didn't think it through. She was just like, yeah, like, yes. And there's this glee of like, take down the princess, like the Chime princess, and she just knew. And I don't think she thought about it that long. I think it was an instinctual, not only that, but you guys have taught her she will suffer absolutely no consequence. All of your hate and all of your things, it just leads to more interactive numbers for her, which means a bigger payday for her, which means more exposure for her, which means brands push her more, which means all of you who leave, it doesn't matter because the brands publicize her to people that know nothing about her. And she continues to go and backstab them. Like, here's a novel idea. Here is just a brilliant novel idea, guys. Like, how about you go, instead of sending a snake emoji, how about you unfollow her? Amazing idea. How about you unsubscribe? How about you let her suffer the consequences of her actions? Unsubscribe. If you want to later, you can resubscribe, but hit the unfollow button. What's with the snake emojis? It's literally putting money in her pocket. Stuff her pockets. Be like, good for you, Jaclyn. Thumbs up. A thumbs up, you guys, you have to think of any time you send somebody any type of emoji, it's the same as a thumbs up. Every emoji is the same as a thumbs up. Every single one. Every single one. They're all the same in social media's eyes. And someone was saying, oh, the brands don't know anything about this. You guys, they don't know unless you tell them. You have to tell them, I'm never buying another Jaclyn Hill thing again. Like Jaclyn Hill's a backstabber. We don't like her. We never want to see her. And when you do this, we will never buy your product again. As long as you have Jaclyn Hill on your thing, we will never buy Morphe again. You have to literally say that. If you want to send hate somewhere, forget Jaclyn, go to Morphe and be like, we hate you now because you employ someone like that. How about you do something like that? You really hate the action? Do something real. A snake emoji is actually a thumbs up, you guys. You're like, do it again. You're telling her to do it again. Now, okay, let's go back to KathleenLights. All right, here's the reality of the situation. Let's be really real about the situation. And I think Jackie Ina understands and knows this because she's part of the community. Who are YouTubers? KathleenLights is a YouTuber. Most YouTube celebrities, most of them live with their parents. They're in a closed community. They film in their room and they don't leave the house very often, and they're in an isolated community. Like, I'm a YouTuber and I am trapped in my house almost 365 days a year, which allows me to be able to do this because I can't do anything else. Like, that's the reality of the situation. So people who are on YouTube, I mean, Rich Lux, like, he lives in his parents' house. Like, he's in his parents' house, you know, like, and not, like, they're just, most of them are not, also, not many are necessarily very mature. They're just not exposed or mature. If they were, they'd be out there in the world, going out there and successful, doing other things, right? It's not that they're not successful online. They're definitely, they definitely can go on. And some of them are very street smart, but a lot of them are sheltered. My point is that a lot of YouTubers are sheltered. And it's very clear. I mean, I already suspected this from KathleenLights, but then her brother's response really backed it up. She is in a sheltered community. She's grown up in a Latino community, sheltered, where it's okay to use that word. And she was never taught. She has not been out in the world. She is basically, I do not mean this to like stab her in the heart. I am saying it as a point of fact. She is not cultured enough to know that that word is never okay. She grew up in a culture that told her it was okay. She's in Florida community, sheltered. She knows in a way it's not okay. Like, her husband knew immediately, don't do it. She thinks it's okay in a sheltered community, and she thought that she even the way she said it, you guys, she said it in a way where she says it all the time, but she also said it in it. That's why she said it so small. She knew it's not okay to say, but she thinks it's still, she doesn't know it's not okay to say, like, ever. Like, she's comfortable enough to say it. And that's the thing, is that she's not cultured. She's not been exposed enough to know it is never okay. And she is learning that. She is learning. And that's what Jackie Ina said. Like, some people have got to learn. I grew up in a culture where everyone knew. The culture and the society taught us it's never okay. But you're saying, doesn't everyone know? No, because look at Jeffree Star. He uses it. He uses it. And I'm telling you right now, KathleenLights watched Jeffree Star use it. And she watched everyone tell him it was all right because he still has a brand going on. And everyone supported him, and everyone said, well, he changed and he can change and he's white and it's all right, but he's still moving on, isn't he? She watches people succeed just fine. We haven't. You guys haven't laid the hammer on Jeffree Star, have you? How is she supposed to know it's absolutely never okay when she sees you guys do it all the time and tell people it's kind of sort of okay in certain situations? Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Like, how she can be confused on that? And she's learning that. I'm not saying it's okay that she said it. I think she knew it's not okay to say. But like in all situations or whatever. But I think she grew up in a culture where they still say it because they think they're Latino, and that's exactly what her brother said. I think her brother told the actual truth. I think it's wrong that her PR team did not come out. She should have controlled it. Her brother never should have said it. I think her brother reflects exactly the reality of the situation. I think she should have said, I grew up in a community where it was okay to say it. I'm learning. I'm learning it's okay to never say. She should have said that. She should have said that, and she didn't. If she did, I didn't see it. So I apologize if I got it wrong. But we all have to think about that. Now, the last thing I want to say is, like, we all got to think about, like, well, if you really think it's never okay, then are you buying from Jeffree Star? Are you subscribed to Jeffree Star? If you say, oh, it's never okay, then are you subscribed to people who say it? Then you really don't think it's never okay. Do you know what I'm saying? You got to really think about that stuff. So, because I find it interesting how many people went after KathleenLights when people really still support Jeffree Star. And then he weighed in on it, and I was just like, there he goes. He's taken down, like, and then I'm telling you, right after people start supporting her, he will say something nice about her. He loves to take him down and then support him back up so he looks like, oh, the compromising hero. Like, that is his MO. And it's a snake, and it's disgusting when someone who uses that word actually weighs in on a situation like that. It's disgusting that he's a leader at all in this community and that people actually gave him a voice. It's terrifying. So, if anyone should have had a voice, the only voice should have been Jackie Aina in this that we really paid attention to. So, anyway, the last thing I wanted to say, oh God, let me remember it. All right, I remembered it. So the last thing I wanted to say is that I don't understand why we're having a discussion. It disturbs me that we're having a discussion. Like, seriously, everyone's having a discussion over which situation it's okay to have. Like, if it's okay, God, I'm saying this wrong. Oh. Everyone's having a discussion over whether or not it's okay to be offended by what she said. Like, that's 75-80% of the hate that's going online, is that people are actually saying, hey, you shouldn't be offended by what she said. Are you kidding me? Are we literally policing how people should feel about someone's use of that word? The use of any word. Stop that, you guys. Like, that is the most immature, unadult way of living. That is harassment. That is bullying. That is bullying 101, when you tell somebody how they should feel and whether or not they should be offended, especially about that word. Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. If they are offended by that word, they are offended by that word. Let it go. Like, you have got to give someone the freedom to be offended by that word. Do not ever tell someone you can't be offended by that word. That is their freedom. That is their right. That is them. If you're not offended by the word, okay. And the reason, let me be really clear about the reason that people are doing this, like why people are rushing to her defense. And it's, you guys, I gotta do a video on cults. It's this cult-like following. When you guys bully and harass other people for questioning your leader or your follower, like, you guys, she victimized people. She victimized people by using that word. And maybe she did it unknowingly. But you've got to be okay with that. You've got to be okay with your leader suffering the consequences of doing something wrong. Like, she messed up. Let her suffer the consequence of that. It's going to have to happen. And do not bully other people out of that. Like, that's growing up. She's growing up. Let her grow up. Let her grow up. Let her grow up. Let her grow up. Wait, that's life. Life is maturing. Life is growing up. Like, I honestly believe that's why Jackie Aina reacted the way she did. I think she knew that this is KathleenLights growing up. Jeffree Star is a whole different situation. Does it mean KathleenLights shouldn't receive? Like, what the hell were you thinking? No, she said the word, you guys. She has to know what she did was wrong. Should she lose subscribers and followers? Yeah, because we saw her real heart. Like, she said it. She knew she shouldn't say it. And her husband immediately said, don't post that. He knew it was wrong. So whatever her brother says, like in their culture, they still know it isn't something they should say. It was still something that her husband wanted to hide. So her husband knows it's wrong. They know that it's wrong. Like, let her suffer the consequences. Her real life got exposed. Her real life got exposed for a moment. We got to see the real Kathleen for a little bit. And maybe, just maybe, if you let her suffer the consequences of her actions, then the real Kathleen might change for the better. What is so terrible about that? That's all I have to say. So, I love you guys.